So welcome everyone to the Santa Ana Memorial Park Neighborhood Association virtual meeting on your Friday night, November 6th at 5:30. All right, go team. And so we're here to talk about an important opportunity as part of the neighborhood association. And we just welcome everyone for being available to join us. We really appreciate your availability and we'll be very respectful of your time tonight. And we first wanted to just review opportunities of how to participate on this virtual Zoom meeting. So we have the first slide, there's different features under this Zoom webinar on how to participate. You can either raise your hand if you have a comment or you want our attention, in terms of calling on you to speak. Or you can also have a question. If you have a question, you can also type it through the chat box, but we want to make it comfortable for folks to easily, participate. We can call on you and you can speak and mute your mic. Just remember to press *9 if you want to raise your hand and speak during the meeting. So those are just some reminders for folks who are joining us. Is that it, Alice? Oh, yes. And most importantly, we want to remind everyone that we have a Spanish interpreter on the line. So if you see the globe at the bottom of your Zoom format, you can click on the Spanish selection, and you will hear Narcy from our wonderful team doing the interpreting so that you can follow along. Para los que hablan español, abajo van a ver interpretación disponible y puedes seleccionar español y van a escuchar Narcy de nuestro equipo proporcionar la interpretación para la junta, para toda la junta. Gracias. Thank you. Thanks, Alyssa, for having that slide. And with that, was there anything else, Alyssa, that we needed to go over?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, you summarized it all.
Muy bien. And we received some feedback that Narcy sounds good. So that's great. That's great. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I know we did some introductions to folks that we already know. Perhaps Ali Verduzco. Let me see if we can unmute you so you can talk. Let's see. Okay, go ahead, Ali. Ali or Ali? Alejandra? Hi, Ali.
Hi, it's Ale. It's Alejandra.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for clarifying.
It's okay. Not a lot of people know, so we're good.
All right. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Ale, and
No problem.
Pastor Dirty. And then we have also David on the call. David, you can unmute yourself. And not the council member. There's another David on the call. Mr. David? Okay, we can't hear him. Oh, we also have Irma Espinosa. Very good. So Irma Espinosa is on the board for Santa Ana Memorial Park. Irma, can you unmute yourself so we can hear you?
Okay, I got it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Irma. We can hear you. Excellent.
You can hear me?
All right. Yes, we can hear you. We can all hear you clearly. Thank you, Irma.
Okay.
Thanks for being available to join. And I'm glad you were able to get out of work on time.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to proceed with the first item on the agenda for Santa Ana Memorial Park. We have the honor of having Councilmember David Penaloza who is a resident of Santa Ana Memorial Park. And so, yeah, he's going to be able to share some updates. So go ahead, council member. It's all yours.
Thank you, Margarita. How's it going, everybody? Councilmember David Penaloza here. As all of you already know, or some of you might know, I'm not only a council member that represents Memorial Park, but I also live in Memorial Park, not at the park, but in the neighborhood, just a couple streets over. So this neighborhood is very near and dear to my heart. And this is the only place I've ever lived and call home and walk my dog through every night. So I see a lot of what's going on in the neighborhood and numerous issues that I know affects all of us. Some that have still kind of were, slowly addressing. Obviously, I wish we could do it a lot quicker. I just wanted to come on here to update all of you on what we're doing, what I'm personally pushing for in our neighborhood. As you all obviously are aware, COVID-19 has really, affected all of us in many different ways. All of us, in the city and around the world. And earlier this year, around August, we were able to secure a little over $28 million from the state and the feds as part of our CARES program that we put together. And we've had 5 CARES events so far in the neighborhood. We've had many others, but in the neighborhood alone, we've had 5. And just wanted to share some stats with you of what we've been able to do in the neighborhood as part of that program. We've had 128 people get free COVID-19 testing in our neighborhood, whether that's Memorial Park or at some of the neighborhoods within the neighborhood. We've handed out 3,077 bags with information inside, face masks, hand sanitizer, little pouch, so little just different things that the neighborhood could use. We've handed out 12,308 face masks. I'm sure you've all seen them with the Santa Ana logo on the front, which is really cool to see, when you're out and about, especially in other cities. I was in Anaheim and I saw some people wearing the Santa Ana masks. So that's kind of cool to always see. And we've had 10 of our residents in the Memorial Park neighborhood get rental assistance through the CARES Act as well. So that's up to $1,500 available to rental assistance. So if anyone's out there that's listening, is in need of rental assistance in the neighborhood, know that is something that's currently available for Santa Ana residents. And 27 have received utility assistance. So the city, we've been able to pay for 27 different residents' utility bills, whether it's water, gas, electric, and I think a couple internet bills too. As because we all know that times are tough and people are not working, and any little help goes a long way. So aside from that, I'm sure you all saw over the summer, there was a lot of street work going on in our neighborhood. A lot of streets that have gone, without repair for many years, specifically around the park, Memorial Park. We were able to fix a little over 3 miles of streets within the neighborhood, which I was very happy to see. That included Towner Street between Edinger and I'm looking at my notes here, so excuse if I'm not looking at the camera, to St. Andrew, Glenwood Place from Bristol Street all the way through, I believe, Towner, St. Gertrude Place as well along Memorial Park, Sycamore Street, Van Ness Street, and Annahurst Place and Broadway, were a lot of good stretches of streets that we were able to repave and resurface. A lot of wear and tear, and also a lot of the sidewalk repairs that you have also probably been noticing around the neighborhood. Also been, pushing for that as well. I know the construction is a little annoying, but we need to invest in our infrastructure. Memorial Park had been one of the neighborhoods that I personally feel, since I see it daily, had been ignored a little bit. So we got most of the sidewalk repaired around Memorial Park. We got handicapped ramps ADA compliant. A lot of our curbs along Occidental and Flower were just about a 8-inch curb down to the street. So there was no, no ramps for handicapped people or whatnot. So that was also something that we pushed for over this last summer and were able to do. Aside from that, a couple things coming to our neighborhood as well. Not in our neighborhood, but kind of as part of a project that's going to go through. I know that we recently approved the bike trail construction from Warner Street to Civic Center along Flower. And I know that there's a bike trail that goes from Warner to Segerstrom along Flower that is also in like dire need of repair and uprooted by trees. That we were able to find funding for that. That's also going to be part of the project and repaired with brand new lighting and bike trails. So that's exciting. So there's a lot of good things coming to our neighborhood. Again, I might be a little biased because I live here. So, it's good to have a council member in the neighborhood, but, always available. I give my phone number to everybody. So if you guys ever need anything, please reach out, email me, call me. I'll provide my email right now. D as in David, Penaloza, PENALOZA at santa-ana.org. And I'll type it in the chat too. And my phone number is 714-227-9094. So I'm gonna, I think that's basically it for the updates that I had for the neighborhood. I'm gonna remain on the call and I'll be here listening. If you guys need if you guys have any questions, I don't want to take up too much of the time because I know we have some important things on the agenda that we need to discuss. So providing my info on there. If you guys need anything, please always feel free to reach out. I'm just down the street. If you see me walking by your house with my dog, just say hi. I try to go up and down every street as much as I can. So happy to be here. Did I miss anything, Margarita? Do you want me to cover anything else?
Let me unmute myself. No, I think that covered it. So I think, yeah, I think we're ready to proceed then with the other topic. Thank you, council member.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. Oh, you're mute.
Am I good? Can you hear me?
You're good now. Go ahead.
So,
we didn't catch what you said earlier.
Okay, so one last thing. Just last week, I had a meeting with Public Works and our traffic engineers over the update on Bristol Street. I know that that's something that really is frustrating for all of us. It's been under construction. I joke with staff, I tell them, I was born in '89 and this has been under construction since 1990. So my entire life, I know that we've had to dealt with Bristol Street, specifically from Warner to Edinger. And I had an update last week with Public Works, and it's looking promising and good for us for that stretch of between Warner and Edinger to start that phase construction in winter of 2021. So about a year away from construction finally starting and going into the early part of 2022, which is, I know it still sounds like a long time, but it's coming soon. Part of the reason why we hadn't, or staff hadn't started on that stretch was all of the properties along Bristol, we needed to divest from them and purchase them first, acquire them through eminent domain, and then now we have to sell them and use that money to go back into the project. It's about 40% funded, and we're hoping that money that we generate from the sales of those properties would be used to be back into the project, the final project. So it's starting soon, about a year away. So that's exciting. We're hoping that's at least one of my goals is to finish that, and hopefully it's coming soon. So thank you all, and that's it.
Thank you. I know we do not have Public Works on the agenda, but the president of the Neighborhood Association, Mr. Raul Ramos, had inquired about 2 updates. And so I just wanted to share with the group, with the team and those on the call, that one of them has to do with the left turn signal on Flower and Edinger. How I'm sure many of you have seen it queues up really bad, like around 5 o'clock in the evenings. And so we know that it's scheduled to be completed this fiscal year, but Mr. Ramos had inquired if there's a more definitive date, and knowing that COVID has delayed, several projects here and there. So Public Works shared, and I want to share with the team that that project is expected to be completed in April of 2021. The left turn signal will be installed by then. The second one had to do with a lot of the cut through traffic that goes along Annahurst between Flower and Main Street. And even though there's stop signs there, there's like a lot of vehicles that run through there. So one of the ideas was that had been requested to Public Works was a roundabout location right there on Broadway and Annahurst. So when the students are getting out of school, it's a little bit safer. So that's on a wait list. We're gonna get some more clarity, like where on the wait list it is, so that we can have a safer route there for the students and the families that are walking through. So those are my 2 other updates for Public Works. Okay, very good. So now we're going to move forward on the agenda with the next presentation. So we have the Parks, Recreation, and Community Services team on the virtual call. We have Mr. Ron Ono, who's been with the city and for quite a while, and he's definitely had a lot to share, a lot to contribute to our beautiful city. So Ron, let's see, we also have, yes, well, Ron, you could introduce the staff the team who is with you today.
Who's with me today is Jeannie Jurado. She's our Community Services Manager. Also with us is Rudy Hernandez. He's our Community Services Supervisor. And I'm not sure who else is on here with us.
Susie Ferjanic just joined, Ron.
Oh, she just joined? Okay, Susie Ferjanic, who's our
she had joined, but we promoted her as a panelist now, so she's a panelist.
She's our park landscape associate designer. She helps me a lot with our park projects, going after grants, reviewing projects as they go under construction and also on the design. So I appreciate all her help, as well as the other staff, such as Jeannie and Rudy, in helping with programs in these park sites. So I really appreciate it. And I want to thank all of the people that's participating tonight on this virtual meeting. I know it's a Friday night. I know everyone wants to go home and have some fun, but I really appreciate you participating. We asked for this meeting to obtain more information, more community input information in submitting a grant for Memorial Community Center. We submitted it before, we were unsuccessful, and this is our second crack at it. So I want to make sure that we get more input from the community and makes our application a lot stronger. The Memorial Community Center, as most of you know, that's been here for a long time, the existing community center was an aquatics entrance. It was actually designed for an aquatics entrance into the pool with showers and restrooms on both sides. The building was here when I got here, so it's probably was over 50 years or 60 years old, and it wasn't designed as a community center. Next slide. So again, the purpose of this meeting is to resubmit the grant requests. Like I said, some of you already know we've submitted it before. We were unsuccessful. We've contacted the state and asked the question, what was weak in our application? What can we do better this time? And they've indicated to us to obtain additional community input, mainly on the location of the center, recreation program ideas, beautification ideas, and safety issues and ideas around the facility. What you see on the right of your screen is what we actually submitted to the state. The building was actually in 2 phases. The one in the lower right-hand corner is the phase 1, which is the community center. On the upper left-hand corner is the gymnasium, and below that is an expanded parking lot. So in phase 1, what we submitted to the state last year was the community center and the parking lot. Next slide. Just a little history on what happened. At the time we submitted the application, we actually had 5 community meetings between March and April. And we obtained community input from the group as to what they would like to see us submit for a grant, the Prop 68 grant. And majority of them came back and said, we need a new community center. The existing one is old. It served its purpose. Let's redesign it and let's rebuild a new facility. So we went ahead and did the conceptual plan that you saw earlier, and we submitted the application. Like as I indicated, it wasn't approved, unfortunately, because they needed more information on ideas, programming, and beautification and safety. I'm going to pause here for a little while to see if there's any questions on the presentation that was already made. If there's
Ron, perhaps
Yes.
Melissa can just sort of review with people again how they can ask their questions. That there's actually 2 ways, Alyssa.
Okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. If you have any input or if you have any comments to make, use the raise your hand feature. If you have like a question that you want to type, you can use the question and answer box, or you can type your question in the comment box. So those are 2 ways that you can provide your input for tonight. Thank you.
So Irma or Pastor Durrell or Ale, we're interested in your thoughts or in any questions so far. I mean, they have more on the presentation. So at this time, let us know.
Thank you. I don't have any questions, Pastor Durley, and I do not have any questions at this time. I don't have input.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Durley.
Sure.
I'm okay. I don't have any questions yet. Thank you.
All right, thank you. How about you, Ale?
I do just say, I'm sorry, just an observation. You said when I drive through those streets, I don't know if it's the trees were used for beautification, but it doesn't look inviting at some times of the day. Like when it goes towards evening time, it doesn't look inviting or maybe safe. And just from a standpoint for us looking at the trees when it goes down Flower Street, and it just, that's just a glance until I get, more and more, I would guess, but it doesn't look like it would be a safe environment with the trees. Maybe if the trees were maybe trimmed back or something, and more lights. That was just my observation. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Pastor Durley.
Sure.
You're talking to the right team, right?
You want me to answer that? Just quickly, I tend to agree with you. The trees, obviously were planted very young, long time ago. They have already overgrown. They are actually intertwining in the into the electrical wires above. We go in there and prune it every chance we get. But maybe in this whole redesign of Memorial Park, we look at that and provide a more stately tree that that opens the park up into the pool, make the pool look more inviting. One of the things that I noticed is that the fencing around the pool is a typical chain link fence. You know, it should be something more inviting, wrought iron or a lot open and inviting. So we'll look at that as we go through the design, the redesign of our submittal. And I appreciate your input.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
I don't think we have any other questions.
Okay.
Or comments, Ron.
So let me continue with the history. On the next slide, actually, the next slide. Yeah, it's this is the final round for Prop 68 grant money. There's about $395 million available statewide. It's a very, very competitive grant. The maximum amount that we can apply for, and this is the amount that we applied for last time, was $8.5 million. We are resubmitting this request to the state. And like I indicated earlier, we need more community input on the location, on the recreational programs, beautification ideas, and any safety issues, which you just recently brought up, which I appreciate, the screening along Flower Street. The other thing I'd like to bring up for your information is that we already have funding for a splash pad at Memorial Park. So we are going to redesign into this plan a splash pad. So it's going to require us to redesign what we submitted earlier, along with any ideas that comes out tonight. Next slide.
Hey, Ron, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you, for my benefit perhaps, could you just sort of elaborate on what a splash pad is? Kind of what's involved with that? Yeah.
Yeah, a splash pad is basically what you see in, I think Knoxbury Farm has them. I think all the amusement park has them. It's a pad that either water shoots out of the ground, or it's a pad that has a apparatus that you shoot water at each other, or it's a structure that actually pours water down on a group of kids. It's a variety of things. And as we go through the design process, we'll involve the community as to what type of splash pad you would like to have. It could be a simple one, or it can be a really elaborate one at Memorial. Memorial is, I think, our third largest park site, so it deserves a nice splash pad.
Great, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the next three slides are slides of photos, which you already know. Have you already seen Memorial Park? It's the one on the left is looking from St. Gertrude south at the open area towards the pool. The one on the right is looking southeast to the existing community center. And you can see the big open areas on both slides. So that's why we thought about possibly the facility that we should expand into that area. Next slide. The next slide both show at various angles the existing community center. The round circle that you see in front of it, actually way back when, used to be something like a splash pad. It used to have a fountain in the middle and shut up, and kids would run through it. What do you call it? The plumbing work has since then deteriorated. Before I even got here, it was already in bad shape. So it got filled in with water. And also another requirement came up is anytime you have either a wading pool or something, I'm not sure about a splash pad, but a wading pool or a spa, you needed a lifeguard. So that kind of made it really difficult to have open water in an area. Next slide. This is a slide, left slide is looking south to the pool from Flower and what is that street in the south side? I'm drawing a blank.
Annahurst?
Annahurst, okay. And then also another slide on the right is somewhat similar, looking northwest towards the exercise area and the pool. Now, I can pause here again for any additional questions you may have. Margarita, do we have any other questions?
Pastor Durrell, you unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, I was just noticing when we were invited to the community center for the first time, it was a challenge to find the entrance. So whatever designs that you do have, if you would be so kind to mark interest as visitors come to it, they will, you know, we walked to one side and walked to the other side and had a challenge trying to find the entrance to the community center. So that may be something to take in consideration.
Right. I understand.
That's a good point on the design, right, Ron? Some
Yes.
feedback. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Irma, do you have anything to contribute to the design or the use or so far from what you've heard? Go ahead, Irma.
I don't have any ideas right this second, but I think it'd be a good idea for us to get together to maybe put together some ideas for family events, like some type of
Family events.
Yeah, we have a lot of space on the park. I see there is a lot of space, and everything is the pool and the children, but it'd be a good idea to get family events, like a family event area together of some sort.
Okay,
That's just an idea,
good.
being that it's.
So it's more like the use of the space,
Right.
or were you referring to like programming or?
The space.
Okay.
Maybe, and
So
I
is
don't
that
know how big the community center is going to be, but if it would be a good idea if it would be a good size to maybe like an exercise room or yoga, or I know they used to have Zumba, right? That would be a good idea.
Okay.
This is Rudy.
Rudy, did you want to address that?
Yeah. So, Irma, you are correct. We did have Zumba prior to COVID. We did have Zumba, and we did have actually yoga on Saturday mornings. So this is why your input and the community's input is very important, because we need to make sure that we reflect those ideas that are coming from you guys to be able to provide a center that can be multi-use with multiple rooms that accommodates everybody, like you're saying, the whole family. So if you were to bring your granddaughter to ballet class, you could do yoga right in the other room at the same time. Or pick up your grandkid or somebody from after school program, and knowing that they can stay there until a certain time, and you can have a class, or that the class starts at that time. So obviously the challenges of Memorial. It's one room. So if we are able to get this grant with your help and your input to be able to expand that to create a recreation center, to be able to reach to everybody's needs, I think it would be a great asset, like you just said, like an exercise room or a yoga class, a yoga room, but also have a family room where people can go in there. I have lots of ideas that I've shared with the group that we could put in that we currently don't have because of space. So we can't even entertain them because we have no room. So again, this is why these meetings are important, because we can get your input.
So we have a comment, and I noticed there's a David on the call too. If you have
The idea, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Irma. Did you? Go ahead and finish your points, Irma.
Yeah, very quickly. I know the recreation facility is like a rec room, but even if they can expand just one extra room along with the rec room and make it like an exercise indoor room, because I see there's a lot of families that do a lot of walking, a lot of exercise, and it does get dark in the park and it's unsafe. And it would help out if they can have like an extra, like a bonus room with ventilation to have some type of exercise or events in there. That is all.
This is Judy. May I say something, Margarita?
Go ahead, Judy. Yes.
Irma, I love your idea about events for families. That could be taken a little bit further. You know, having large rooms, not just for the exercise or meetings, but actual events for families, like we used to have way back when. You know, I'll leave it open so that you could all think about what we could have there in the future. But I do like your idea about having events for families, but that depends how big the center is going to be built and how many rooms. So definitely please give your ideas, everyone on the call, to Ron, so that we can look at that and propose a great grant, a great proposal to the state, so that we could be awarded to, you know, to create a new rec center for the community in your neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Irma?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so there was a chat message from Pastor Durley suggesting, and this speaks to the design of it. What about a walking path around the inner perimeter of the community center area? That is his suggestion.
Great idea.
Thank you. Okay, so now there's someone else, David, on the call. Not the council member, but the other David. If you can unmute yourself, if you have any other comments or questions to ask of the Parks and Recreation team on the virtual call, go ahead.
No, I don't have no comment at this time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I just
All
wanted to
right,
let you know, I'm sorry, that is one of my members of the congregation. So it's David Borden. He's the senior statesman for our church. So I thank him and I appreciate him for showing up at this meeting.
Yes, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and continue, Ron.
All right, next slide. You know I wrote down all your suggestions and was looking at the plan and that we submitted last year, and it kind of fits in with a lot of things here. This is an aerial of the site, so you can see what's existing, what the improvements will actually take up, and you'll notice that we did protect the volleyball court. The other thing that you should know, besides the splash pad, is we are going to renovate or put in a new park restroom by the ball diamond, just west of the volleyball court. That building there is going to be torn down and a new one constructed. We have funding for that, so we're doing that also in the next year or so. We also protected the basketball courts in place. We protected the existing top lot that you see those triangular shade screens over, and that's all in white on this plan. That's the existing tot lot that we'll protect in place. We also protected the exercise area that also has shade screens on, that's in white on the lower corner, the lower part of the park. That's also being protected in place. The main thing that we're demoing is the existing building. You see phase 1, that is the proposal that we submitted to the state with walkways completely around that building. And including with phase 1 is the enlarged parking lot that will serve both the recreation community center, will serve the basketball courts, will serve the baseball fields. We will still keep in here all the perimeter parking that's all around the park. So you'll have all that parking still available to this park site. As you can see, and I'll kind of quickly describe phase 1. As you enter the parking lot, there's going to be a main walkway, and this is the plan. Now we can change this plan, but there's a main walkway with palm trees accenting the entrance to the community center. And that walkway basically surrounds the phase 1 building. It surrounds the existing swimming pool. We're proposing also to change the fencing on that pool at this, and in the entrance as you enter, there's going to be a reception area. There's going to be 1 or 2 offices, but the rest of the offices or the rooms in there are going to be for programs. There's a multi-purpose room for recreation programs to the left or to the west side of the building. That purple area that you see on the plan is actually hallways, and then which will give you access to various rooms, a kitchenette or a kitchen. The large square area to the south, we were proposing a large senior room for seniors, as well as that can also double as a large Zumba room or recreation room on phase 1. Phase 2, which was not submitted at this time because we wanted to build phase 1 first, is a gymnasium. It's an indoor basketball court. The purple area that you see around the court, that was going to be a jogging track. Like you mentioned, you like to see jogging included. That's a jogging track, but that's a jogging track is on the 2nd floor. So you're actually looking down at the court as you jog. And around that track are various rooms as on the 1st floor as well as the 2nd floor that we can. It's not identified what it's going to be used for yet, but it can be used for various programs. It can be a large room, it can be a small room, but that was the intent. And the rooms will be accessible either from the gymnasium or from the walkway that's lined with palm trees. So what we could do, getting back to one of the questions about opening up the landscaping on Flower Street, we could take down all those ficus trees and really open up that parking lot, put in some parking lot trees in there, make it more of an entrance. So you will have an entrance off of that linear parking lot off of Flower, going down between phase 1 and the pool to enter the gym, the community center or the gym, and as well as a walkway along the swimming pool, so spectators can actually see any activity that's in the pool.
Ron?
Yes.
So we have Lisa Tran, the neighbor who lives on the other side of the park, who just joined the virtual meeting. Thank you, Lisa. I unmuted.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lisa, did you have any questions? I know you're looking at the aerial on what's being proposed.
I'm trying to log on my computer so I can look. So I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, okay.
Find it.
Ron, this
All
is
right.
Scott, and I just wanted to make a suggestion that perhaps Alyssa can zoom in on the phase one rendering of the building
Sure,
so that we can
sure.
look at that. Everybody can see that a little bit better. At least on my screen, it's a little bit far away, and so I'm not able to see the detail of phase one, the building itself.
Can she zoom in on that building? Enlarge it?
I'm trying. I don't know how to do that.
I doubt it.
Be like a plus or like a zoom at the lower end, unless it's kind of already, maybe because it's a presentation, you know, it's like already set in the dimensions.
Yeah, I'm not sure what options.
Alyssa, I was thinking that there at the top, there are the view options. And so I think you can zoom, there's like a zoom ratio option under the view
On the
options at the
PowerPoint?
top. No, like in the control panel for the Zoom meeting at the very top, at least on mine, it says view options and we have the ability to zoom in.
Scott, I think you're right, but I think whoever's in their view can do it because I just did it.
Okay.
Oh, your own view, okay.
Yeah, your own view. I don't think Alyssa can do it because it is already in the PowerPoint, but we can do it.
You know, Alyssa, maybe you can do it because maybe you can do it on the second slide. Go back to the second slide.
Like the beginning?
That one,
Mhm,
yeah.
this one?
Maybe that one can be blown up because that one was just a cut and paste one. Oh,
Alyssa, I just send you through email, just the one slide. If it might be easier.
Yeah, she'll be able to do that. Awesome. Thank you, Jeannie.
Okay, I don't have my email open. I have to close down this PowerPoint. Is that fine for me to stop sharing?
Alyssa,
Yeah,
why don't we oh, go ahead and do that. That's fine. That's fine.
yeah, I was gonna suggest to do that only because that's like the meat of the presentation, and that way the folks, you know, the neighbors who are on the call can be able to just have a closer look.
The other option, Jeannie, if you have that slide, we can just have you share your screen and do it that way, right? That way Alyssa doesn't need to close down.
Yes, just the slide. And then Lisa, I know you can hear us, so I don't know if you were able to download the app or you just called in through your phone.
I'm downloading it right now. Sorry, it's taking me so long.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
there you go.
Excellent. That's great.
Yes.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
You walk from the parking lot, you'll see the main entrance between phase one and phase two.
Hey,
As you enter it,
Ron,
yes,
so where the new parking lot is on top next to phase two, to the north, is that Flower Street or is that St. Gertrude?
that's St. Gertrude.
Okay,
entering
so
from
that I
St.
can-
Gertrude. Yeah.
Thank you.
So as you enter from that, if you enter from that parking lot, you'll have access to the gym and to the community center. But just like you indicated, if you enter from Flower Street, you also have access to the gym and to the community center by that walkway. So you have both ways to get to the what I call the center core of phase 1 and phase 2. And as you enter phase 1, there's what you see as an office. That's the reception area to the right as you enter the building. Restrooms to the north. To the north, or to, I'm sorry, I got it reversed. As you enter, there's offices to the left and restrooms to the right. And then a multi-purpose room at the end, right by the word PH of phase 1. And again, the purple area is the hallway or the corridor. There's a multi-purpose room as you continue down the corridor. There's a recreation room. There's a kitchen area. And then as you go further south, there's a large senior room. That was what we also on the corridor, you can actually exit or enter to the southwest on that patio that will open you up to the existing playground equipment area. So the kids can enter from that playground into the patio space and into the recreation space. Similar to the senior center, the senior room, you would enter, if you can move this screen up, you'd enter from the exercise area. There's a doorway that will enter into the senior space, and will also be able to walk along both sides of the building to have access to the pool or the playground area. In this plan, we are also providing, as you see on the south side of the pool, is the lifeguard station, the existing pool equipment building, which we'll have to reconstruct, and 2 restrooms for the pool. Now, as you go, can you pull the screen down? No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That area there, forget the white triangular space. We just never included it in the aerial, but it's still the same. It'll still be open grass area. We protected the stage area. We protected everything on the south side of the building, including the walkway that will carry you from the intersection to the exercise area and to the senior room or to the pool area. Can you scroll up to phase 2? Yeah, on phase 2, same situation. If you enter from the main parking lot off of St. Gertrude, there's an entrance off the main corridor with an office or a reception area on the side. There's a staircase and an elevator that will take you up to the 2nd floor. There's indoor exercise rooms. On the 2nd floor will be a track that will look down onto the gym, the basketball courts. There'll be a kitchen on the east side of the northeast corner that can be used for banquets in the gym if necessary. Storage room, some restrooms and locker rooms, and then these were just quick. And there's some empty rooms both on the top and the bottom that can be used for other recreation type programs that we haven't identified yet. And that's the whole purpose of this meeting, is to identify what kind of programs you'd like to see so we can design the proper space for the next application. It's needless to say, this will include parking lot lighting, security lighting, new landscaping, new walkway paths, and so forth.
Ron, this is Margarita. Earlier in the presentation, you had mentioned about the splash pad.
Yes.
Can you remind us, like, where exactly is that being, what space in the park that would be located?
Well, the splash pad wasn't a project when we submitted this application.
Oh, that's right, yes.
So it's not included in this plan. But now that we have the money and we have the idea of putting a splash pad, we actually need to redesign this building to accommodate the splash pad on the outside, obviously. Yeah.
Hey, Ron, this is Councilmember Penaloza.
Yes.
I was gonna ask about that as well, so I'm glad Margarita did, because I was gonna say I hope we don't build the splash pads and then have to rip them out in a couple of years.
No.
We build a community center. But so the question I had, sir, about was in regards to the parking lot. How many cars is this parking lot going to be for? Is that set in stone yet? Is this just a mock-up design?
This is just a mock-up design. This is a conceptual design. As you can see, we included handicap spaces in the parking lot, but it will be as large as we can make it within that space from the phase 2 plan all the way to the baseball fields.
Okay. The reason I asked is just I was and I brought this up to Lisa Rudloff when I first saw these plans earlier this year, was just because I know we have a dire need for parking everywhere, and a community center of this size would require that extra parking. I just personally hate seeing our open space removed to build parking. And yes, we're going to get additional open space in regards to the community center and whatnot, but just open grass and land. Is this something that would be built with phase 1 as part of phase 1, or is it something that would be built and see if there's a need for the additional cars? I know that the parking is hit or miss around the park, and maybe Lisa could chime in on this. Just wanted to get a general idea if that would be built from the beginning.
Originally, we were planning to build it with phase 1 to accommodate the larger building that's going to need parking, but it could be programmed later as another phase, the parking lot, if need be, because we've got a lot of perimeter parking around this park. So it's just that it won't be centralized. If you have a large gathering, you're definitely going to need it when you build phase 2, though, because that's going to if we use phase 2 as a community banquet space, you're really going to need more space parking.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just was wondering if there was if we already studied the amount of extra cars that would bring. Obviously, there is a lot of parking stalls around the park, but you're right, it would be at a distance. It wouldn't be centralized. So, okay, that answered my question. So I guess it's just concept for now, but we're gonna study that as we move forward.
I just have a quick question. Is that parking lot, the new parking lot, will that be closed off at night?
It can be, yes.
I hope so.
That's the advantage of having a parking lot with an entrance. You can put gates on it and lock it up. Whereas right now we cannot lock up all the perimeter stalls that's around the park. What we could do, Councilman, is that as we build this parking lot and we find out, we got more than enough parking, we can actually expand the park and take some of the parking space in the street and open that up to more landscaping around the perimeter of the park.
If I can chime in, this is really, and again, Councilmember and to all the attendees, I'm gonna give you just a quick scenario on a Saturday, of course, no COVID, just Saturday, football going on, you have that park packed. So parking, again, will be used to its capacity. Again, with this phase 2, I think you guys are on the same track. I think the parking lot should be part of phase 2, because when you get a basketball gym like that, and a perfect example is, and Jeannie knows because of programming, Salgado. Salgado has a great parking space, but when we have youth sports basketball, it is packed. You can't find parking. So it's going to bring, like Mr. Ono's saying, additional participants, additional people coming into the park. Now you multiply that plus baseball or Little League or Pop Warner, and you have a lot of cars. So that's just want to give you guys a little conceptual plan of what like programming that we do, that we will need it, but again, maybe we wait until phase 2 to maybe tackle that on.
Thank you, Rudy. And the reason, another thing is because I know that a parking lot is expensive. And so I wouldn't mind, and this is just me again, thinking out loud, nothing, maybe, and I know since we're trying to chase these grants and trying to secure the grants for funding of this, I don't want to delay any construction to phase 1 if it means that we could cut the cost by leaving out the parking lot until we start looking at phase 2 and building that. But I understand the concern. I do notice when there are Pop Warner and Little League games, the perimeter is packed in the afternoon. So that would be a need, but thank you for that clarification.
Councilman, the other thing you should consider too, and I'm all for saving open space. I hate to use it for our cars, but the other thing that is programming. If this really becomes successful and you have back-to-back programs, I'll give you a good example is at Thornton Park. Thornton Park, we have a large parking lot, which I thought was sufficient for the 2 ball fields and the large, actually now it's got 3 ball fields. And it is sufficient for those 3 ball fields. The problem is when you have back-to-back programs, the second wave of players that come in won't have parking because the park is full. Until the first group leaves, the second group won't have parking. So you've got to accommodate this switch when you have back-to-back programs.
That makes sense. And while we're talking about programming, and I know it's not directly connected to the construction of the community center, but just make a mental note, Ron. I brought it up to Lisa where I want to start activating that stage on the south end of the park. I know there are a lot of groups in the city, or not in the city, but in the region that do, we've had Shakespeare in the Park at Birch Park. There's groups that put together telenovelas in the park. And that would be cool to start looking at ways that we could activate that stage and put events together for the community, wine nights, paint nights. I mean, just all of the above. So mental note for a later conversation, obviously when COVID restrictions are lifted. But yeah, so thank you for that.
Councilmember Penaloza, I wrote that down. That will be part of my division, and we'll look into it once everything opens up. Thank you.
Thanks, Janine.
Ron, I wanted to turn it back to Lisa Tran. I know she was able to successfully connect on the Zoom. So Lisa, I know you got a chance to listen into Ron's description of the project, and there's been other feedback that has been shared by Pastor Durley. We've got Irma, who is also on the board for Memorial Park, but we were also interested in any other comments or thoughts regarding this opportunity for a new community center.
As far as a community center, is it what I'm seeing on the phase 2? Is that the only thing that the money that you're trying to seek? Is that the plans, or is it the entire park?
No, the money that we are trying to seek is actually to do phase 1, the community center, which is removing the existing building and building a new facility where the existing building is currently occupying. Like we said earlier, we are now introducing a splash pad, so we'll have to redesign some of this building to accommodate that splash pad. It could go further south, but unless we want to protect that open space like the councilman indicated further south, or it could go between the yeah, as you go further south, there's all that open space that could be programmed, or it could go. We can make the senior area smaller and put a splash pad there next to the playground equipment. You know, it's this. That's why we're talking right now, is to give us some ideas on what you would like to see, how you like to see these items connected physically, so we can come up with a good design and resubmit.
Okay. And is the parking lot on the east side, right over off of Flower, is that, I'm sorry, I might have missed that part. Is that going to be the same?
Yeah, yes, on this plan is going to remain, because we still going to need some parking, you know, for the pool. But as we program and as we you know, redesign the space, you know, we can look at that. That could be taken out and made all grass if necessary. But obviously, if you reduce the amount of parking, you're going to reduce the amount of participation in your programs, especially if your program is successful.
Right. No. I wasn't thinking of reducing it. I was just wondering, you know, how much impact it's going to have on the neighborhood. I mean, I think it's great. We're going to have this community center. Hopefully, well, is this a for sure thing, or we're still trying to get the money from the grant?
We're still trying to get the money from the grant. I think you missed the first portion. We did submit last year. We were unsuccessful. We have another crack at submitting. This is the last opportunity to submit for this Prop 68 grant. This is and we want to make sure our application is stronger. We want to hear from the community so we can identify your input in the application, so that hopefully we can secure some monies to develop this facility.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
have an idea. This is Irma.
Yes.
Hi, Irma. Please go ahead.
Yes. The splash pad. I don't know how big it's going to be or how much water or how it's going to be designed, but I just like to throw in another idea instead of the splash pad, but it's in the same line of water. How about like some type of a pergola or patio with sitting area and with a mist, you know, those mist hoses that they can be in like an automatic mist that turn on like every half an hour for like 5 minutes. That way the kids run through and they get wet, but it's not running a lot of running water, and it could be less of a liability.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
I don't know if you can picture that.
I can picture it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Irma. Thank you so much for that feedback.
You're welcome.
Ron, just another observation that I put in the chat had to do with how those accessing the swimming pool are able to use the locker rooms to the extent that they need to change either before or after. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for the group?
The locker rooms, we'll have to build some kind of a temporary locker room, because the locker rooms are actually in phase 2. So if you scroll down, you see the restroom locker building in phase 2 gymnasium. That's, and you can't see the door because the lines, the phase lines are covering the doorway, but that's where, exactly, that's the location. That's where we're proposing to put the locker room and restrooms that could be used by the pool. But we also provided additional restrooms on the south side of the pool. But most of the people, Rudy, you may want to jump in on this, but most of the people that come to use the pool don't use the locker facility as much. They come already dressed in their trunks, and because I don't remember the bags or the lockers. We don't even have lockers, I don't think, at Memorial.
Yeah, Ron, yeah, I think you're correct. The majority of people, I'd say out of 100 that go in there, I'd say, 70% are already ready to roll. You have the, smaller kids, they change them, all that good stuff. But majority, they're ready to roll, and that's a higher percentage. So, I mean, a huge locker like they had before, like we had how we have right now, I don't think it will be needed. Especially when we know when the patrons find out that obviously they don't have big restrooms to change like that, they're ready to go.
Could I say something about the locker room? As a kid, the way they had the locker rooms at Memorial, I don't know, Ron, I don't know, you've been with the city for a long time, right?
Yes.
So they used to have those mesh bags that they had always like teenage attendants that you'd come in, get a bag from one of the teenage attendants, and then you'd put your stuff in there, your clothes, and then you would give the bag. They would hang up the bag in that little, there was like a counter there. I don't know if it's still there. And then they would give you a pen, like a safety pin with a number on it, and you would attach that to your bathing suit. And of course, I know that that's not possible anymore, but I'm thinking, David, I know you were a swimmer. If we plan for future use of like maybe swim teams coming in, swim meets, then we would need the the locker rooms. I mean, and more with showers and then if you go over to David, have you been over to the community pool over in Irvine, over by Irvine High School? Did you ever go there?
Yes. Yeah, we would compete there all the time. So just for context for the residents, I swam for 8 years competitively, swam at Saddleback High School. I learned to swim at Memorial Pool as a young toddler. And I have been to Irvine High School. We would go there to compete. The thing is I think, yes, thinking as a non-swimmer, you would assume that you require locker rooms to change and whatnot. But as a swimmer in the swim culture, when you're thinking of a team, like even at Saddleback High School, like we rarely changed in the locker room. We'd wrap a towel around us and change on the pool deck. Usually the women obviously would be the ones that would change in the locker room. So as a guy, it was very not needed. We never used them, but as a girl, they're the ones that usually use them. From what I remember at Memorial Pool, again, this was, I remember my mom would take me already in my swim trunks and ready to roll, and I just take my sandals off and t-shirt and jump in, and she'd pick me up and I'd dry off and jump in the car with a towel wrapped around my wet shorts.
Right.
So because I lived 2 streets over, so she'd be like, come on, let's go. You could change at home. But I know that that there will be that need for others, girls specifically, and maybe kids that don't live in the immediate neighborhood that do use our community center to want to change. But I do like that idea that if I know that opening up our pools for competitions and to invite other cities, other schools to compete, if we ever want to open that up for swim competitions, I think it's something that would be necessary. At least a large enough restroom with changing tables or whatnot, for men and women by the pool. And there is, I think there's enough room on the pool deck at Memorial Park to build, you know, 2 little shack type changing rooms. I mean, that's another idea. If you look at the corners, I'm thinking the east corners of the pool. I mean, that pool deck is very wide, where you could easily build 2 you know, changing rooms. But who knows? I mean, that's it could. But yes, Lisa, to answer your question, I have been to Irvine High at the locker rooms.
I would just hate to like not have that, and then later on it's like, oh, we don't have the money for it, and we miss that opportunity to to have locker rooms, like so many other facilities, so many other parks, that have aquatic centers have.
Lisa, this is Scott. And just a follow-up question for Ron related to your question really has to do with the connection between phases 1 and 2. Ron, can you like elaborate on that a
Sure,
little
sure.
bit?
If you can scroll back up on the screen, right, on phase 2, there is that restroom and locker room facility. Now, it's just conceptual. It could be enlarged. You can see a lot of rooms that's not even identified. So that could be the locker / restroom for both the pool and the gymnasium. So they'll accommodate both. So if you have a big swim event, obviously you may not have a big basketball tournament at the same time, but that's just a matter of programming. But that means instead of building the community center, we should be building phase 2 as phase 1, so they both connect.
That was going to be my follow-up question for you, which is
Yeah.
How and when will phase 2 be developed? Like sort of.
It's going to be years from now. We'll have to probably wait for another bond measure to do that. So either we change the phasing and do phase 2 instead, and then build a locker restroom that will accommodate both, or put the locker, or we'll have 2 locker room restrooms, one in the gym and then one in phase 1 that will accommodate the pool, which means taking away more space, room space for programming in phase 1. Give you an example, maybe I'm just talking out loud right here. Maybe the multi-purpose room that you see next to the pool and the kitchen will be all locker and restrooms for the pool, and we'll make the connection to the pool there. But that means taking out that program space, which we can do because that's what we're talking about right now. How do we make everything flow and work together if we can only afford phase 1,
Ron, this is Scott again, and again, I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm sure some of our participants have this question. I mean, obviously the pool is only available a certain number of months a year, and so to the extent that that multi-purpose room was designed in such a way that it could be used for one purpose during the summer, and then the other 9 months a year, for another purpose, that
Right.
obviously would be ideal.
Yeah, but I think we're going in the direction that we're going to try to make the swimming pool open year round.
Okay.
Not just the summer.
So let's go around and see if we have any other questions or observations before you continue. I'm assuming, Ron, you've got some additional slides to share?
Yeah, I got 1 or 2 more slides after this.
Okay. Why don't you proceed with that? Alyssa, are you
Okay.
able to go back to Ron Ono's PowerPoint presentation? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, on this slide, the next step, obviously we're having our community input meeting tonight, and we're discussing location, discussing programming, We're discussing beautification ideas such as the trees on flower. We're discussing safety. So as I get all that information, we will read it. And then the other thing that we need to add to this is the splash pad space. Now, so that you don't all get excited here, the splash pad space, we are just going to conceptually identify a space. We are not going to design the splash pad in this submittal. That's going to be for another meeting. When we're ready to start the design for the splash pad, we will have another community meeting to get input on what the splash pad should look like. Should it be just water shooting out of the ground? Should it be apparatus shooting at each other? Should it be a mist, a fog mist, or a mist of water from the top and you run through it? All that we will discuss later as we design the splash pad. But I need to identify a space so that it all works with the circulation of this whole plan. It's almost like a partial master plan for Memorial Park. The only part we're not touching right now is the athletic fields, basketball courts, and the exercise area, the stage. We're leaving all that as is, so the park can be used. The plan, we hope to get it completed by December, so we can submit the application on March. That's when it's due. Just for everybody's information, the application was originally due December 14th, 2020, which is right around the corner. So that's why we were expediting this community meeting. But we just heard from the state that they will extend the deadline till March 12th, which gives us a little more time for the design process. Once we submit the application on March 12th, the state will review the application, hopefully by spring or summer, and then they'll notify the successful applicant, hopefully by the end of summer. And whoever got selected, the project needs to be completed by March 2025. I think that's my next slide. The next slide is just for question and answer that you may have, additional questions you may have on the presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's open it up and see if, I mean, I think we've had a good discussion and lots of wonderful observations that have been shared by participants and panelists alike. But let's go around one more time and see if anybody else has something to add. I see Mr. Rudy Hernandez.
Yeah, if I may, Scott. Again, I was the one that did the meetings last time. And again, what Mr. Ono was saying, that we're here again to get feedback because the state actually pointed certain things that we needed more input on. And they were on location, discussing programs like we did, beautification ideas, and safety. So I'm just kind of throw that out there. So we fulfill since we have you guys out there, your feedback, so we can concentrate on that, so we can report back to the state. And look, we had a second meeting. This is what we did, and this is what the residents gave us. This is the feedback they did, so that way we can go ahead and start there and just kind of get the ball rolling, if you may.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, so we're just sort of going around to see any other observations or feedback that can be provided.
Alisa, can you go to slide 2?
Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you. The reason I wanted to bring this up is just that everyone refreshes everyone's memory of what the state was looking for. Like Rudy indicated, the location of the center, the recreational programs, the beautification ideas, the safety issues. And I purposely put the plan on this page so that you can look at the location. Is that the best location? Should we flip it and put it on the south side of the park? But that means the parking is going to be an issue because there's no place to expand the parking unless you take out the stage. So I want to make sure that we come out of this meeting either agreeing to the location or disagreeing and said, no, I like this other location better.
if is anyone familiar with Verdugo Park in Burbank?
No.
If can anyone can you look up on another screen Verdugo Park Aquatic Center? You're talking about the splash pad. Verdugo Park.
Alyssa, can you try and pull up like Google Maps or something and maybe put the satellite view on so the group can see that? Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. Was that Susie? Was that you?
No, I think that was
Lisa? Lisa?
Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Verdugo Park, VER.
VERDUGO.
Verdugo Park. Yeah.
You said it's in Burbank?
Yes.
Alyssa, are you pulling that up or?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll wait. That's okay. That way you can share your screen and we can all look at it at the same time.
So
Can you, Lisa, can you elaborate a little bit on kind of what your observations are about Verdugo Park?
I've never actually been there. My daughter, she lived in Burbank for 3 years, and as we drive by, it's a public park, and they had this just great aquatic center with, they had, I believe, an Olympic-sized pool, but then on the side of the pool, there was, let's see, like water, like a kind of a splash pad, but then water slides, and it was just really, really neat. And I mean, people that I talked to that had been there, they said that it was, one of the nicest aquatic centers because of the, I don't know if they called it a splash pad. I'm looking at a picture on Yelp. Can you bring up Verdugo Park on Yelp, maybe? Sorry, I'm not tech savvy, so I don't know if I could, even if I could find it, if I could share it with you.
Lisa, can you see the screen that Alyssa was sharing?
I can see it, but I don't see, I mean, I see Verdugo Park, but I don't see the aquatic center.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see the aquatic center either.
I found it, but I don't know how to.
Okay, Rudy, we can let you share your screen, and that would be a way to do it. Alyssa, can you allow Rudy to share his screen, please?
You should be able to. Rudy, the green button on the bottom that says share screen. You should have it. You're a co-host.
Oh, shit, that's right. Let me see. Can you guys see it?
It looks like it's pulling up. Yes.
There you go.
So,
Oh, wow.
So if you look, like, take the pictures, it looks like it's an aquatic center, because we have the different, you have water polo, you have the little wade pools.
But Lisa, I think, mentioned the splash pad, right, Lisa?
Flashpad,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. So there's playground.
This is the Verdugo Park in Burbank, not in
Burbank, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. There's that. Oh, wow. Sorry. There's their events. Is that the Flashpad? No.
No, they're kind of bigger. They're bigger water slides. I think there's like 2 water slides.
Oh, here it is. But this is actually this is not a splash pad. This is actually like a
like a wading pool.
Water how do you call it? Water playground.
Rudy, can you help us understand the difference between a splash pad and a water playground?
So a splash pad usually, and then Mr. Ono, you give me the technical terms, but like when you go to a particular area, it's spongy, and water goes up and it drains in the same area. So
Right.
there's no standing water per se. Like
Correct.
for example, this picture. This is actually a pool and water's coming out. So this is more of a water park, theme park type style. Whereas the splash pads are usually like the water's there's no standing water. It just shoots up and it goes in and it drains and it just keeps going. There's some
but but it could include apparatus like you see here with water falling from the orange, I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, like lantern. It's a lantern.
Yeah, like lantern. It could include that in the splash pad, just that the water on the bottom may not be as deep. I don't know how deep. It looks like 2 inches of water or something. Or
So I'm gonna share another picture. So this will tell you the story. See, this is actually a water park. Like, to me,
yeah,
that's not that. For your information, Lisa, this is not what we're gonna do.
yeah.
It's gonna be much smaller radius. Really, like just like a circle, maybe, Mr. Ono, a rectangle, however the design's gonna be. And water will. Let me show you guys another one. Maybe he has poles coming up and the water's coming down.
Yeah.
So Rudy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This
Yeah.
is Scott again, but so maybe I've seen these types of splash pads like at outdoor shopping malls, like when my son was
Yes.
5 or 6 years old and he would run and get wet
Oh my
basically,
God, yes.
and the
Yes.
water would come up at different times. It was kind of
Absolutely.
unpredictable, so it was sort of entertaining for the kids.
I'm gonna tell you a perfect example. And you guys have been to Universal Citywalk.
Yes.
That's a good example.
Universal Citywalk. That's where it is. Because I know my kids love it. It just shoots up randomly. So
But that is a simple splash pad.
Yeah.
It could be a more elaborate one, like you see here on your screen, but not hold as much water on the base.
Correct. And I think that's the distinction, because again, then the liability issue comes in, because you're treading in like a foot of water,
Right.
Fall,
Right.
and then again the whole lifeguard situation, because technically somebody could drown in 1 foot of water. So that's why.
Okay. Lisa, does that are we starting to address your question and sort of your observations?
Yes, I wasn't sure what the splash pad was. I was thinking something like this, like wading pool. You know, Ron, what was the little wading pool that we had in the on the opposite side of the pool center? There was a sand pit, and then there were those 2 round, I don't even know if they're still there. There was one that had a sprinkler that came out of it, and the kids would walk around in a circle. This is when I was a kid.
Right.
There you go.
Okay,
Do
Lisa.
you guys see my pictures? I just googled it up. So this is what it is, Lisa. See, there's no standing water. They're just going through these apparatus and they're getting wet.
Got it. Okay.
And if I can just add something.
Can I share my screen, guys? This is Councilmember Penaloza. Sorry, Susie, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay.
Councilmember, are you able to share your screen? I know that you're a.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Here, I'll stop sharing. Go ahead.
Okay. I did some quick. Oh, it says
Alyssa?
host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Alyssa, is the council member a co-host, so he's able to share his screen?
No, I think Margarita made him co-host.
Okay. Yeah, council member, we've made you a co-host now, so you can share your screen.
Perfect. Okay. I think you guys can't see my screen yet.
No, we cannot.
Oh, it's
in the background. We see a Zoom. There's some sort of a background. Is there somebody who's still sharing their screen? Is that possible? One of our, no?
No, I took myself out.
Okay.
I did mine.
Okay.
So, yeah, I tried sharing my screen, but it said I have to go into my system settings and allow myself to do it. So I just Googled the difference between the splash pads and actually went to the City of Burbank's website, and they actually have very in-depth pictures of their aquatic center. But the splash pad at, I believe this is, and just so you guys could Google it.
Let's have Alyssa share her screen so she can do the Google search while you're talking, sir.
Okay, if you Google search Shakopee, Minnesota splash pad. So I Googled it and that's the one that came up, and it's actually really nice.
Okay. Alyssa, are you able to share your screen at this point? Or do we need to have someone release their screen? Excellent. Okay. So Shikobi, is that
If you, yeah, just Google search the, oh, I guess that's a splash pad video, but if I just Googled searched images and you were able to see um, some nice pictures of what that looked like.
okay? So move it to image. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
There you go. So
Hi.
just so people could get an idea of what the splash pad is, there's no water collecting. It's
Right.
just, yeah.
Well, Ron and Rudy, there's just so many options with regard to design and ideas that people would have for something like this. I know that it seems like the kids would really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, and I agree. It's like it doesn't have the water doesn't have to all come from the ground. It can come from other apparatus. Like you say, the lion is shooting out water from his mouth. It could be a pull. The flower stands could be water coming out of that. So it can be all those things. And like I said earlier, we're going to go through a whole design process on this. I'm glad we having this input, but. I just want to walk away with more information on the concept of of our grant application, and we can go through this process, at another meeting.
Okay. Mr. Ono, a quick question for you. Since because the state guidelines have changed and that you have a significant amount of additional time, is staff considering a second kind of conversation with people about the
Yeah,
park and the design of the center?
we can do that. Now that we have a little more time, we can do that. Because the schedule I originally put together, we thought that we would have to really expedite, come up with a concept plan, and just have just barely enough time to share it before we submit. So
Right. I was
now
just
we can-
thinking, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Councilmember Penaloza. I was just thinking that, we had great participation tonight, but there are probably many, many more people, parents with young kids, who would be very interested in participating in these conversations. Your thoughts about having a second conversation, or?
Absolutely. I definitely want to have, I mean, when you look at the participants, we have 3 participants. Thank you for joining. And most is staff, and which we need. I mean, we need to get more people involved in the process. So I'd be open, and I still don't know if we're allowed, but even if we had a community meeting at Memorial Park, at the stage, for example, it'd be outdoors. We'd set it up so that it's safely distanced, and just give proper outreach and time for the members of the community to attend in person and whatnot. And various other methods. I even thought of, because I know that the state does require additional input from the community and programming. I had already made a mental note to myself that I'm gonna personally go out there and canvass our neighborhood. I mean, I live here, I walk it daily with my dog. So why not, start knocking on doors and just telling, if I had material, a flyer or something that could show potential plans for this, and encouraging the community to send us an email or their thoughts and ideas. I mean, that's always that would always be good. But we definitely should have another meeting with more, where we could advertise more.
Okay.
That it's happening.
So, so my sense is that, we're not going to be able to figure it all out tonight, but it sounds like staff, again, I'm going to defer to Mr. Ron Ono and Jeannie Gerardo and Rudy Hernandez, Susie. It sounds like perhaps your team could put together some recommendations regarding some sort of a second meeting or something, and we can collaborate on doing that, or?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, not
Excellent.
a problem.
Okay, very good. So obviously, Ron, one of the first things you'll need to do, and you're the expert on this, by the way, would be to back into your new schedule or something, so you have an idea of, what sort of dates you have, what time window
Right,
for some additional
right.
discussions. I think Councilmember Penaloza's offer is a wonderful one, but we probably need to give him an idea what sort of time frame we're looking at here. That's all. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
the time frame you've got that we got to submit the application by is obviously March.
Yes.
So if we can wrap everything up by February, that'll give us let's see, was it no, that's too like mid-February, I think.
Okay.
That's a month to put whatever we need to put together to submit. You know?
Okay. Very good. So we're just trying to be mindful of everybody's time. People have been very, very generous with their time tonight. Thank you very much to our attendees for hanging in and fully engaging in our conversation. We're like an hour and 45 minutes into it at this point. I just want to suggest that if there aren't any other, I think we've identified kind of a path forward at this point, and we've gotten great feedback. Are we comfortable as a group to kind of call it a wrap for tonight? And
Yes, Scott.
yes. So Margarita is ready. Jeannie's ready. Councilmember, you're good with our calling this meeting a wrap
Yes.
tonight? Okay, very good.
I am ready.
Okay.
The Mandalorian has a new episode on Disney Plus.
Okay, Lisa Tran, you're good with revisiting this in the future? Okay, so thank you very much to Irma, David, Pastor, Lisa, all of our panelists. We'll be revisiting this conversation in the not too distant future. And once again, we're very appreciative, and we're going to call this virtual meeting a wrap. And good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.